Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yankees on Deck podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cunningham, and it's been a little while between the All-Star break, and I've been really busy with work and also wrapping up a summer class, online summer classes, and I also had to go out to California this past excuse me this past week. I had to go out to California for some doctor's appointments. Nothing's wrong with me. It's actually some pretty good news, actually. I have severe food allergies, and I was able to be accepted in this trial that hopefully will get rid of that severe food allergy. It's dairy, actually, that I have. I'm severely allergic to. So I was out there doing that, and I haven't been able to really record at all. It's just been really hectic the last few weeks. But I'm back, and boy, oh boy, this Yankee team continues to just be – it's like a seesaw. The Baltimore series had a lot of highs, but also incredible lows. Winning those first two games were absolutely amazing. I was asking, are we back? Like, it was just insane. The level of energy, the shift like that. And then the third game, just with Volpe booing that routine grounder, and then Clay Holmes just continuing to not be able to throw consistent strikes. And then Verdugo misplaying that ball in the outfield. What a shit show. But I was at the beach. I wasn't really watching too much of it. I was following it on my phone, but I wasn't like watching it on TV or anything, so I didn't get too upset. But, man, that was brutal. And then going to the All-Star break, I was watching that, keeping up with that. And then now we're back. We had this 4-game series just wrap up with Tampa. Yankees wrapped up the final game of this 4-game set today. And they were able to win this one, thankfully. The Yankees, they win this one 9-1 against Tampa. Carlos Rodon got the ball today, and he needed a great start because he's been one of the several guys on this team that's been struggling as of late, massively, and he got it. He had 7 great innings, 10 strikeouts, and he looked like the Carlos Rodon that we paid for from him. And the reason I'm saying that is because he hasn't been good. Overall, the series had his ups and downs, but lately, the last month or so, he hasn't been good. ERA up to 4.42. It was up around 4.6 before today's start, and he lowered it to 4.42. He gave up a home run, solo shot to Jose Siri, whatever. But other than that, he was spectacular. So he's now improved to 10-7 on the year. He had 10 strikeouts. He was great. Overall, his stuff was really playing up in the zone, also with his off speed as well to complement his fastball. He was great. And the Yankee offense actually finally woke up in this 4th game. Austin Wells had a solo shot in the bottom of the 2nd. And then Anthony Volpe hit a home run. Anthony Volpe, this guy, he's been slumping like crazy. Like a lot of this rest of the Yankee order. He hadn't had a home run in over a month. His last home run was in early May. Or no, that's actually well over a month. His last home run was in May. And so when you look at that and the fact that, it was like, where did this guy's power go? I know Anthony's a home run hitter. I understand that. But at the end of the day, it's his power was just completely gone in this slump he's been in. So I'm trying to find the date. I think it was May 5th was his last home run. My computer is just bugging out right now. Yeah, in over 2 months. His last home run was May 5th. That's insane. So, yeah, not even a month. I'm so used to saying a month because I was saying that earlier that, it's been over a month. But now we're into 2 months because we're in late July now. So, error on my part. But, yeah, over 2 months, that's insane. So, Anthony Volpe, him and Wells went back-to-back, which was nice to see. And that got the Yankees up 2-0 in the bottom of the 3rd. Bottom of the 2nd. And then in the bottom of the 4th, Oswaldo Cabrera had a 2-run single. He got the start today. And we've been talking about Oswaldo needing more playing time because, especially at third base, because DJ LeMahieu has just been awful, absolutely awful. And yes, he did have a home run today, but he's hitting 181. His OPS before today was in like the 450s. I mean, it was terrible. The OPS now up to 504, but that's not good at all. He shouldn't even be a major league starter. He's been that bad. Uh, the Yankees still owe him $30 million after this year. They owe him $15 million this year, so $45 million over the next 3 years. And they're not going to eat that money. They're not going to cut him. I mean, they waited for a certain point before they cut him, but they're not going to do that with DJ. The Yankees, they don't need that kind of money. So we're stuck with him, and we can only hope that he can figure it out. But you can't keep putting this guy out there. You need to. One of the Yankees' needs at the trade deadline is to go get a third baseman because DJ LeMahieu is not cutting it. And for the time being, you need Oswaldo getting most of the reps at third. Look, he had the home run today. Maybe he can get at it, but the guy's old. He hits the ball into the ground a ridiculous amount. I mean, nearly every at bat it seems, and he's not cutting it, and he's old. He's in his mid-30s. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but he's washed. And look, I appreciate. I mean, Yankee fans can be pretty harsh on guys that aren't performing, especially guys that have had good seasons in recent years. He has 2019, he was a batting champ, and multiple All-Star appearances as a Yankee. I mean, he was great for a few years for us. I mean, when we first signed him through that really cheap contract, it was like a 2-year deal. It was a steal. It was an absolute steal. What we got from DJ was great. And then he got hurt. He got older. And then he wanted a ton of money in free agency, and the Yankees were forced to give it to him because they couldn't afford to lose his bat. I mean, he was so valuable to the team at that time. And so the Yankees ponied up, and they gave him, that 4 or 5 year deal that he wanted. So I believe it was, what was that? Mayu. I think it was 4 years, like 90 million, something like that. Or it might have been 5. It was like 4 or 5 years, but the Yankees ponied up and they gave it to him. So, at the end of the day, sorry, my computer is just lagging out right now. I don't know what is going on. Why is this thing being so laggy? Anyway, so you have that, and then the top of the 5th, Jose Siri hit his home run, did his little dance. Man, he's hitting like 200. I don't even care. Not even going to pay attention to it. Doesn't matter. DJ LeMahieu, like I said, had his home run. That was in the bottom of the 5th. That was nice to see. It was the left field. Hit it hard, too. 99 miles an hour off the bat, 368 feet. So, it's nice to see him hit the ball hard for once. And then Juan Soto just continues to be ridiculous. Bottom of the 7th, he had a solo shot. And then in the bottom of the 8th, he absolutely crushed a ball for a second home run to make it 9-1. It was a 3-run shot, 4 guys total, and on the day between those 2 home runs. And this ball went into the upper deck suites at Yankee Stadium, and that's a very long way. It was 400 and, well, this is saying 385 feet, but I don't think that's right because I saw on StatCast it was saying it was like 425, 430. Yeah, I mean, that ball was crushed. I mean, he really got it, and then he was kind of leaning, like hoping it would stay fair, and it did. Just barely, hooking the foul pole there down the right field line. But man, what an amazing player this guy's been for us. And the Yankees, it's just proven that the Yankees need to go out and they need to have a massive deadline because at the end of the day, we got 50 something games left. And you have a top 5 player in baseball, 2 top 5 players in baseball in Judge and Soto. And you're not guaranteed to have that after this year. Juan Soto going into free agency, going to command what he will command, because he's in the MVP running right now. Clearly, he's right behind Judge in that race. Okay, when you look at statistics and all that and you break it all down, he's a generational type player. He's young, 25 years old. I mean, Yankees just can't fully compete with what the Mets have to offer in terms of the finances on that retrospect. So if the Mets choose to, throw them all that money, I mean, you know, Yankees, how competitive are the Yankees going to be in that offer? So we don't know. So that's why the Yankees got to go in all this year. Shout out to the bullpen guys this game. Tommy Kahnle, he went an inning, only gave up one hit. Then Kirk Cousins came in the game. He's not Kirk Cousins, Jake Cousins. Kirk Cousins is cousin. He came into the game. Jake Cousins pitched an inning. He was great. He's been good for us. 2.40 ERA. Tommy Kahnle's ERA has been lowered to 2.66. He's been a dominant force back from the IL. He was out the first month. He was out like the first 2 months. He was dealing with I think it was like something in his like quad or something, and he he had to rehab and all that, and then do a rehab assignment. He's been spectacular. The Yankees re-signed him this past offseason. He's been spectacular, and shout out to Tommy Kahnle. The guy has been one of our better bullpen arms in that pen. And especially too when you look at Tonkin and what he's done as well. But at the end of the day, I want to go back to the Yankees and just the core issues I have with this series. Okay, yes, the Yankees did salvage it somewhat. Okay, they split. But at the end of the day, Tampa Bay is not a good team. They are 50-50. They are constantly fighting to stay at 500 consistently. Okay? They're not as good as Boston. They're not as good as nowhere near as Baltimore. They're not. I think they're not as good as us. Okay, as bad as this Yankee team has been. Okay, at the end of the day, I can put us next to Tampa, and I could say yes, when we are at our best and Tampa's at their best, we are the better baseball team. Okay, I mean I can fairly say that. All right, because you look at the firepower and you look at what the Yankees have in terms of the bullpen and the pitching. I know that hasn't been the greatest lately, but you look at that compiled with Judge, Soto, Ben Rice, Austin Wells, what he's been of late. It's a better team. It's a better team. I'm sorry. When you compile all that together, the Yankees are a better team. So the fact that you have to split with a team like this, it's kind of ridiculous. It's not kind of ridiculous. It's very, very ridiculous. Shouldn't happen. The 2 games that we lost were an absolute joke. Okay. The game that the Yankees lost the other day, they didn't decide to hit until the late innings, and their only runs came from Judge and Soto. Aaron Judge's 3-run home run, I believe it was in the 8th inning. I'm trying to pull up the game log here right now. The computer is continuing to just be lagging like crazy. I have all my notes, everything up here, and it's just lagging like crazy. So I'm sorry if it's not. It seems like I'm kind of off, out of sorts, but my computer is just continuing to screw up right now. So the Yankees, the other day, so they win today. I covered that. The other day, they lose 6-4. And this team, it's crazy. When they start to hit, it's like it's almost too late. Okay, they wait too long. The Yankees were down 3-0 in the 4th. And that then turned to 5-0 in the 7th, in the top of the 7th. And then it only wasn't until the bottom of the 7th that they started to score runs, thanks to Aaron Judge hitting a 3-run home run. Okay, Richie Palacios for the Rays, top of the 1st, solo shot. Juan Soto, bottom of the 2nd, hit into a double play. Then Randy Arozarena just continues to crush the Yankees, top of the 4th. He hits a home run, makes it 2-0 Rays. Jose Caballero, the Rays rookie, shortstop, he hits a RBI base hit. And then, Yankees offense just continued to not being able to do anything. 1st and 2nd, no outs. Cabrera struck out in the bottom of the 4th. Then they had 2nd and 3rd, less than 2 outs. Ben Rice struck out swinging. Top of the 7th, then Jose Siri hit a home run to make it 5-0, 2-run home run. And then it wasn't until then that the Yankees started to score. Bottom of the 7th, they're down 5-0. Aaron Judge hits a 3-run home run, get the Yankees back in the game. He crushed it, 444 feet, 112 off the bat. And, some people were saying, oh, yeah, he stared at it too long, this and that, blah 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 blah. Look, when you're Aaron Judge, you can admire a home run a little, as long as you're not going around the bases like doing your stupid, like what Vladimir Guerrero did, like shushing, act and all that crap. As long as you're not doing that, I don't really care. Honestly, when you're Aaron Judge and you're the best player in baseball, you could stand in the box for a few seconds and admire that home run. I don't give a shit. But when you're a guy like Jose Siri doing his stupid celebration, coming to home plate when you're a 200 career hitter, cut that shit out. I'm tired of that. But then in the top of the ninth, the Yankees just spoiled that because Jose Caballero, the Rays rookie, hits a home run to make it 6-3, and and the Yankees just then they blow it. I mean, it's just. It's just, and then Juan Soto in the ninth inning, he had an RBI hit, but it was too late. And then you got to listen to after the game, Aaron Boone's like, well, he had some really good at-bats there. Yeah, he had good at-bats in the end, and they were all from, guess what, two guys, Soto and Judge. Like, and these struggles that we've had as a team, who have been the two guys that have been picking up most of the work, Soto and Judge. And we had that again in this instance where the rest of the lineup just was not picking it up whatsoever. I don't want to shit on Ben Rice because he's honestly been great for the most part since we've called him up. But, Austin Wells, I mean, he's been picking it up as of late, but where was he? Verdugo has been nowhere to be found. Verdugo coming into this game was like 15 for his last 105. His last 105 at-bats, he had 15 hits. I mean, that's absurd. And then coming into today's game, he was 0 for 20, and he finally broke that. He had a hit. But where was Verdugo? My gosh, that's like the worst slump I've ever seen. Gleyber Torres continue, nowhere to be found. Anthony Volpe's struggles continue. He did have a hit, though, 1 for 3. Trent Grisham, nothing. Cabrera, he hardly plays, but, he had 2 hits at least. You're just really you're getting, you're getting very little from 4 through 9, like I've said. You're just very, very little. And it's not good because, this is not how championship teams are built. You don't build it on 2 guys. I mean, we talked about this in 2023, and I'm going to bring it up again. When Aaron Judge went down last year, when he ran into the right field wall at Dodger Stadium, this team absolutely collapsed. And that's what we're seeing right now happen in front of us. And we have Soto and Judge playing. So until I start seeing this team put together some more series wins and actually playing like a competent baseball team that can make a push in October, then I really can't say this is the team until I see some more additions, because the holes are glaringly clear of what the Yankees need to address. The holes are there. It's clear what this team needs. This team, I'm going to tell you right now, they need a third baseman, okay? And they really, honestly, need a second baseman. But I guess, Torres isn't going to go anywhere. He's gotten some trade interest. Brian Cashman has been taking calls from him. But I doubt they're going to trade him, honestly, because it's the last year of his contract, and maybe they're just hoping that he can just somehow figure it out, because he was a good player last year. Now he stinks. They need pitching help, bullpen and starting pitching. The bullpen has been very shaky these last several weeks. Clay Holmes isn't a closer. I mean, we've established that. I love Clay Holmes, but my gosh, it's a coin toss him coming into the game, whether he can throw strikes or not. The command is just not there half the time. He's too up and down, honestly. And then the rest of the bullpen, too, just these last few games giving up way too many runs. So there's that. And then, first base, I think you're okay with Ben Rice. But then also outfield. You need to address the outfield, because clearly Alex Verdugo just isn't cutting it. I don't know how much time you can give this guy to prove it. And Jason Dominguez, he's not coming back anytime soon. So you need a corner outfielder. You have Brent Rooker on the A's. You could go out and try and snag him. He's pretty good, and he will help the team in terms of power. He's a big power bat. So you could go out and Brent Rooker, or you could go out and get a Luis Rengifo. He's on the Angels. He's a pretty good hitter, and he can play multiple positions in the infield. But the problem is he's on the IL with like a wrist injury. He's going to be back soon, but I think teams kind of get a little bit afraid of that. Oh, this guy got injured and we're going to trade for him. But I really like Brent Rooker. Pulling up his stats here, he's hitting 294 this year, 22 home runs at this point, 67 RBIs. And this is a guy, he's 29 years old. So he's pretty much right in the prime window of his career. And you look at his previous stats. Okay, so you go back to last year, he hit 246. He had 30 home runs. Okay, so yeah, he's not going to jump out at you with the batting average. This year he is. He's having a crazy year this year. But this is a guy that can easily supply you at least 25 to 30 home runs. And this is a guy that kind of came on the scene last year. In 2021, he was with Minnesota, hit 9 home runs, 201 batting average. 2022, he split with two teams. I believe Oakland acquired him. Or no, it was San Diego and Kansas City. Okay. But he really didn't burst on the scene until last year. But then this year, he's kind of backing it up. He's gotten even better this year. So at the end of the day, that is one area you could go and address that. You go out and trade for him and maybe not have to give up so much because of his age. He's 29. And then Luis Rengifo, another guy. So you need bullpen help. You got Carlos Estevez on the Angels. You have Tanner Scott on the Marlins. Starting pitching, there's really not a whole lot out there. It's very thin. I mean, obviously the headliner is Tarek Skubal on the Tigers, but come on. I mean, if the team's going to get him, it's probably the Orioles because they have the package in terms of prospects of what the Tigers would want. So yeah, I mean, then that's really summarizing that. And something else that really pisses me off about this game is Aaron Boone. I can't watch the press conferences anymore. Look, I understand, and I've said this numerous times, that a manager cannot, physically go up on the podium and say, yeah, this team was awful, they suck, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. But to go up there absolutely tone deaf when we are actually making fun of Aaron Boone, like possibly saying this, and then he ends up saying it, and that is, oh, yeah, we had some great at-bats today, though. That double play that guy hit into, he hit the ball very hard, though. Really, Aaron? Really? Do we have to spin every little thing about a game into a positive manner? Really? Can you never, ever in your life just go up there and say, you know what? This team today, we hit in the end, but it wasn't enough. And everybody knows who they are, but there are guys in this lineup that need to step it up. Our play since the first half, after following that 60-game stretch where we were the best team in baseball, our play after that is unacceptable. It needs to be better. It's not, we don't condone that. We need such and such to step it up, pitching, hitting, all that. It's showing accountability. It's showing not just frustration, but that it's calling out the glaring weaknesses and things that are unacceptable. I mean, because you can't accept that shit. When you go up there and if I screw something up, okay, if I'm given an assignment for, say, school or work, and I mess it up, can I go to my boss and say, well, I did these two things well, but I screwed up the rest, 65% of it I screwed up, but the other, 35% I actually got right. Can I go to him and will that be a favorable answer? No, it wouldn't. And I wouldn't expect the same from a big league manager. At the end of the day, look, I understand it's baseball. Not everything's perfect. But at the end of the day, when you are given what is glaringly a problem and you go in front of the mic and you just completely ignore it and then just spin everything into a positive, it tells you that, one, you're tone deaf, one, that you have no control of that locker room, because at the end of the day, you are so afraid of saying something that the players will latch onto and say, oh, well, wait, Aaron said that? Like, this guy is such a pushover manager. He really is. Yeah. Aside from the fact that he has no idea what he is doing, okay, that he's not even qualified to be manager. Okay, this guy was hired straight off of ESPN. All right. Aside from all of that, okay, this guy doesn't hold his players accountable because he's afraid to lose the locker room. They love him. oh, la la la. We were talking about this in terms of the lack of effort and how he was excusing that. Aaron Boone will not say anything negative about this team ever. And it's not so much that, it's so much of just not, never being honest, and just saying, look, we're playing bad baseball. And I'm fine with him saying that we're going to turn it around. I mean, what else do you expect the manager to say? But what I'm not okay with is trying to shed everything in every single light into a positive when it's not. When you can't just at times go up there and be honest and say, this is bullshit. This is unacceptable. This is not going to continue. And we need to come. We need to be better prepared. That's all of us. Everybody in this locker room. We need to be better prepared. What one went out there with Trent Grisham not hustling or whoever is unacceptable, and it's going to get addressed. I mean, that's how you address issues. It's not, you know, it's not giving in and saying, oh yeah, we suck. No, it's just fans want to see accountability. Fans want to see frustration. Just because you're frustrated doesn't mean you're saying, oh yeah, going up there and saying we suck. No, nobody expects that. But what the hardcore fans, me and many others out there that I know, they just want accountability. They just want a guy that's going to be honest. He doesn't need to be brutally honest and say, man, this team sucks. Look at all these guys hitting, well below 250 and this and that. No, I don't expect that. But I do expect some accountability on the manager's side to the players, to himself, to the organization as a whole. Because otherwise, then what are we doing? What is the point of me watching a press conference if all I'm going to get is the same regurgitated bullshit day in and day out? And that's why I said on my Yankees on Deck stories in the Instagram, I said that exactly. That's why I stopped watching the press conferences, because Aaron Boone says the same regurgitated crap over and over again. Oh, we're turning a corner. Oh, we lost, but we had some real good at-bats today. It's the same regurgitated nonsense over and over and over, from a guy who's a puppet, from a guy who is told, probably, if I had to guess, what to do, when to do. And that's why you're looking at some of these decisions. It makes no sense. Aaron Boone, I have enough beef with him. I don't want to talk anymore about it. But other than that, I mean, this team has a ton of flaws. And we can get excited about today's win. And yeah, Juan Soto hit 2 home runs. That's great. Juan Soto is what he is. He's amazing. He's spectacular. All right. He's right behind Aaron Judge in terms of superstar status. All right. But at the end of the day, if this team does not address the weaknesses and the holes, largely in the offense, I mean, outside of Soto and Judge in this series, can any of you guys confidently say that you have confidence in another hitter that it's like, I know what I'm getting from that guy? No, you can't. And the fact that you can only say it, you can't say that for more than 2 guys is pretty alarming. Look, Austin Wells, I have a lot of faith in him. He had a home run today. He's been picking it up of late. He's hitting 213, but you got to look at the underlying numbers there. Labor Torres, I don't know what. Alex Verdugo, at least he got a hit today. Maybe that'll get him out of it. Anthony Volpe had a home run for the first time in over 2 months. Maybe that'll get him out of it. And he had a huge double in the second game of the series. No, sorry, the first game of the series on Friday night. That really helped the team win that game 6-1. 3-run double, cleared the bases on that. So, yeah, there's positives and negatives, okay? And so now I want to go to the first game real quick. We're doing this series recap, okay? So the first game was on Friday. Yep. Yankees won 6-1. Garrett Cole got the ball. Garrett Cole had his second great start in a row. Garrett Cole, I mean, this is a guy, he came back. His first few starts weren't so good. Got hit pretty hard by the Mets. Got hit pretty hard by the Orioles a little bit. And we were like, oh, shit, what's happening? Like, is our ace hurt again? What's going on? Seems like he's all right. Second start in a row. He's been great. Final line for Garrett Cole. He went up against Zach Eflin, but his final line in this game, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, just 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. And the only run he gave up was on a Brandon Lau solo shot in the top of the 6th. But other than that, Garrett Cole was as advertised, and what we expect out of the workhorse, the ace. And talking briefly about this game, it was just crazy. DJ LeMahieu in the bottom of the second, runners on first and second. LeMahieu doing what he typically does, hits a ground ball, hits into a double play. And I'm just used to that at this point. Bottom of the third, Anthony Volpe finally, he hit the ball on the ground, but he hit it hard down the line. 3 runs come in to score. Volpe clears the bases. Yankees up 4-0. They needed that. Volpe needed that. I mean, my goodness, one of the several guys in this lineup that has just been slumping really bad. And also, too, we were talking about before today's game, he hadn't had a home run in over 2 months. So Volpe, his power completely just left. He's striking out at a much higher clip, just clearly pressing. And look, I still have faith in Anthony Volpe. It's funny. A lot of Yankee Twitter, they turn on this guy. He's having a bad couple months. Just remember the way he started the year, okay? And understand with baseball, it's a long season and how young this guy is. He's 23 years old. And so at the end of the day, when you look at all that, he's 23 years old. He's going to figure it out, I think. He will figure it out. He started off the season scorching hot, hitting close to 400. All right, I believe Volpe as an above-average player at least that can play decent defense is still in him. I believe that. I truly do. I think this is just a massive, massive bad stretch of play for him. That has unfortunately gone on too long. Anyway, the Yankees, they're able to play a pretty clean game in this one. The first game, coming after the All-Star break, they win this one 6-1. Tommy Kahnle continues, to be great. Inning pitch, 2 strikeouts. And then Jake Cousins comes in and in the 8th as a setup guy. And then Caleb Ferguson comes in with a 5-run lead. Kind of is a little bit shaky, but gives up a hit, but he figures it out. Gets out of it. One of our weaker links in the pen. He's got a 5.10 ERA, but that's the point. You have a 5-run lead. You can put in one of your lesser arms, obviously. So there, no too much concern there on that end. But overall, this is going to be a relatively quick recap. I mean, we're at a half hour right now. But the rest of what I want to just say is this Yankee team, if I had to summarize, are they a World Series caliber team? No. Did I believe that at the beginning of the year when they were the best team in baseball, got off to a scorching hot start? Yeah, I did. And you know why? Because a lot of guys in the lineup were contributing. You had Volpe, you had Verdugo, and with the balance too, right? Judge, Soto, Verdugo, Volpe, Volpe leading off, doing his thing, right? So I did believe. I really did. Right now, that's pretty faded. It's not that I don't believe at all. I'm always going to believe as a Yankee fan. All right, we still have 50-something games left. Anything can happen. But at the end of the day, I'm not really too optimistic until I see what they do at the deadline. Obviously, if they have a massive trade deadline, that could change everything. But I think for Brian Cashman and the Yankees, it's abundantly clear that they need to go all in. And when I mean going all in, and Michael Kay said this on the Michael Kay show today. I was watching it after the Yankee game, and he was basically saying, Michael Kay obviously has inside sources. He was saying basically from what he's heard, everybody is on the table in terms of top prospects besides Jason Dominguez. Dominguez is the only untouchable, which I agree with. And you know why I agree with that? Because if Juan Soto walks after this year, Jason Dominguez is going to come back. He's going to play center field, and you're going to have Judge in right field, and then you're going to have to figure out left field. But, maybe you bring back – I know Verdugo sucks, but, left field, I think you're going to have to trade for a corner outfielder anyway. So you could trade for a corner outfielder and maybe have that guy, hopefully, if he's on a multi-year deal, he can be your left fielder the next year. But Jason Dominguez is a partial replacement if Juan Soto leaves. Now, I know everybody was saying, oh, no, that's Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones, his ETA is 2025, but he might not make the big league roster next year, breaking camp, because, he hasn't, he hasn't even made AAA yet. All right. He's still in AA, still trying to get his sea legs under him. All right. So I don't know if Spencer Jones is going to break camp this team. And look, nobody can replace Juan Soto. That's why I said Jason Dominguez is a partial replacement, because that's the only thing I can really say, honestly. But at the end of the day, Jason Dominguez is part of this future. We saw what he was when he first came up, and we're hoping that when he gets healthy, he can go back to that, be a huge presence in this lineup. So he's untouchable. Spencer Jones, you don't know what this guy is going to be. People are saying Aaron Judge because, yes, obviously he's got Aaron Judge's height, Aaron Judge's build, and he's a lefty that mashes, and he's got good minor league stats, okay? He's been up and down this year. He hits for a ton of power, light tower powers. His power ranking on MLB.com is a 60. I believe it's out of an 80 grade scale, and that's pretty high. But his contact is not so high. It's at 45. He strikes out a lot. He's got to cut down on the strikeouts, like I've been talking about. But this year at Somerset, he's hitting 238, which isn't really anything great, but he's got 10 home runs, 47 RBIs. He's been really up and down this year. Okay. But he did win like Player of the Month in AA like this past month. I mean, he was going on a tear. So this guy has had his cold spells and hot streaks this year, and I don't know. We have no clue if this guy can be legit. I mean, look, Aaron Judge. Just for actually crazy comparison, why don't we look up Aaron Judge's minor league stats? Because Jones has 10 home runs at the halfway point, so he could realistically finish this year with 20 or close to 20 home runs easily, I think, at his current pace, obviously. But Aaron Judge, right? Aaron Judge struck out a shit ton in the minor leagues. Actually, their strikeout percentages, because I covered this on an episode in spring training, strikeout percentages were nearly identical in the minor leagues. Aaron Judge and Spencer Jones. And Aaron Judge, when he came up to the Yankees back in 2016, he struck out a ton. He was hitting under 200. And then he totally revamped his swing with that hitting guru guy, whatever his name is. And then he came back, and then that's why he became, AL MVP Aaron Judge, and the Aaron Judge we know today. But Aaron Judge in the minor leagues, I'm looking right now, so the most home runs he had in a minor league season was 2016. He hit 19 home runs. And Spencer Jones right now has 10. And Judge batted 270. But in Scranton in 2015, when he was 23 years old, he hit 224, 8 home runs. Then the next year he was in Trenton, hit 12 home runs, 284. And look, here's the interesting thing about these two guys. Aaron Judge was a late call-up in terms of age. He was 24 when the Yankees called him up. And Spencer Jones, let's look up his current age. Spencer Jones was in college, so he's on the older side as well. Spencer Jones is 23. So it's actually pretty crazy. Spencer Jones could be called up at the same age that Aaron Judge was called up. That's if he remains a Yankee. I mean, either way, probably the same age, 24, because he is knocking on the door of the big leagues at some point next year, probably. But that's interesting, okay? But we have no idea. I mean, look, Aaron Judge cut down on the strikeouts, but that's not to say Spencer Jones could do the same thing. It's we have no idea. We have no clue. And this is the Yankees' make or break it year, so they got to go for it. They just have to. And then you have these other guys: Chase Hampton, Roderick Arias, Everson Pereira, George Lombard Jr., Will Warren, Henry Lane. Also interesting too, the Yankees in the MLB draft. People were saying the Yankees drafted a ton of pitchers. Most of the guys they drafted were pitchers. I believe they only selected like 1 or 2 hitters out of like 20 rounds. Okay, so they drafted 18 pitchers and 2 hitters. And people were saying the reason for them doing that was because they know with the trade deadline coming up that they're going to have to trade a lot of people in their farm system, specifically pitchers, that other teams like. So the Yankees are essentially replenishing their farm system with pitching that they know they're probably going to have to give up at the deadline. And this includes top prospects such as Chase Hampton, Will Warren, Henry Lane, Brock Selvaridge, Kyle Carr, Clayton Beater, and on and on. So at the end of the day, that's where we currently stand. And look, Brian Cashman knows we need to have a massive trade deadline. I think a historic deadline, because if you don't, and this World Series drought continues, he's going to hear from the fan base. It's going to grow even louder and louder. And if you have a trade deadline like you had last year, Brian Cashman will not hear the end of it. He doesn't hear the end of it as it is, but he will not hear the end of it for the rest of the year. I don't care how the Yankees do the rest of the way. He will not hear the end of it. And the pressure's on, okay? He knows he has to have a big deadline. And look, and if, like I've said, if Brian Cashman does not have a big trade deadline, it's over. It's over. If he goes in there and he does nothing or hardly anything, it's over. All right? I'll come on here and I'll say that. And I will rip him, rightfully so. But we got to wait and see. We got to wait and see. I'm as frustrated as all of you. I watch these games. I curse under my breath. I get pissed off. And a lot of it stems from just the acceptance of this garbage play. Nestor Cortez got absolutely lit up last game. I mean, they were hitting him like batting practice, okay? And Nestor Cortez says after the game that, we're still right in these games, Hold on, Nestor. We are in these games somehow, miraculously, because we were the best team in baseball, but also the fact that the Orioles didn't take full advantage. Okay, we are 1.5 games back. And the reason for that is because of our hot stretch, but also the fact that Baltimore didn't take advantage when we were being the worst team in baseball. And, still are statistically, like in the stretch of 60-plus games. And I'm going to say this too. The fact that you're riding on previous success is a joke. All right? Baseball is an ever-changing game. And the fact that you have to even bring that up and say that is a joke after you just got shelled. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Because it's a common trend with this team, and you can look up the facts and the statistics behind it. This team starts off hot, and then they fizzle out in the end, and then boom, playoffs come, and yep, they fizzle out, bats go cold, pitching doesn't do it. So what I'm going to say is stop making these BS claims of acceptance when you know for a fact that the Orioles are legit, the Red Sox are up and coming, the Rays somehow can split series with you and win series against you despite being a 500 club. And at the end of the day, that acceptance is what really destroys this team because they are complacent. And we see it in the energy, and we see it with the overall lackadaisical play. And it's the same regurgitated quotes that come out of the mouth of manager Aaron Boone. And that's not okay. It's not okay. So I don't care what Boone defenders could say. Oh, you're not in the clubhouse. I don't give a shit about that. I could see what I watch on TV and what I listen to with my mouth, or no, what I listen to with my ears, and what I hear being spoken by our manager of the New York Yankees. It's unacceptable. It needs to change. The Mets come into town tomorrow, and the Yankees better be ready. Because if they're not, then clearly you already got your work cut out for you at the deadline. But at the end of the day, you have to start to wonder if what they do at the deadline will be enough. Because what this team needs is a lot. And they need some of these guys to figure it out, or else they may not have a shot anyway. But it's a long season. I'm not giving up. I'm just being honest with you guys. Because at the end of the day, I am completely honest about this team, and I always will be. And that will never change. So I hope you can appreciate that, at least in my analysis, in my opinion. If you disagree with it, that's okay. I respect that. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing, which is a World Series. And we want this to be the year. So let's go out and give ourselves the best chance to do it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody. See you soon.